Uh-oh. Hang on. Uh-oh.
Hi.
It's always something.
Don't knock my tea over. I know. Chris and I were just laughing this morning. I don't know if you guys can hear us. We were just laughing this morning. We're like, this is a crazy ride.
All right. Do I have audio? Good morning, guys. I have Stacey here with me. It is Saturday morning coffee time, and I am pumped to hang out with you.
I'm actually drinking tea this morning instead of coffee.
Thank you, Shielded Prepper. Everybody go check out the Shielded Prepper. He's a good, godly man that's trying to really do his best. Bud Light's here. He's also doing his best on YouTube. We've got some really cool community, like-minded people that are starting YouTube channels, and they're doing their best to bring value to everybody. So, and you know what I always hear? Whoa.
Just knock that out. Knock that whole thing off. That X that you went.
I didn't do anything.
Out. I know. There you go.
All right, there we go.
We kind of had a glitch.
What I always hear to the people that Stacey talks to and that I get to talk to is the people in your community. Mm-hmm. And that's what this channel is about. It's about you guys. It's about gathering of the like-minded, salt of the earth people as we enter the Thunderdome. And we're going to talk about the Thunderdome in just a second. Stacey's got a ton of stories. I do too.
Look at this. I'd like to say hello, though. Let's do a couple of hi. Hi, you guys from Alabama, from Australia. Oh, my goodness. Hi, you guys.
This Arkansas girl. Good morning from Arkansas. Where are you about? Where abouts in Arkansas?
We're about to head to Arkansas in a few minutes.
Head to Arkansas. Australia. Man, I want to go to Australia. MNJ, thank you for all the moderators that are here.
Oh, MNJ, thanks for a lot of help this morning, helping me put together the live stream this morning. Help.
Pete's here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
All right. Oh, hey, Darren Greenhoff. Good to see you. I haven't seen you on here before. Good to see you from South Dakota.
So
your neighbor in East Texas. Oh man, I don't know. Well, let's start. Actually, you want to start with
there's literally a ton of news. Let me take you.
You want to start with some tweets here?
Go ahead.
So I followed Jesse Felder, and if you guys don't follow him, you should follow him on Twitter. He's a great source of information. And he said,
I gotta grab my notes.
Okay. He said we're kind of all over the place this morning. We're trying to get ready to leave too. So we're kind of doing two things at once. The world has moved, he said, closer to a tipping point after which money printing, prices, and the growth of debt are in an upward spiral that the monetary authorities realize cannot be broken except at the cost of deep recession and credit collapse. And then he was also talking about this, Paul Singer. He's the man who saw the economic crisis coming in 2008. And so this is just more people are seeing this, I think, more and more. Did you lose your notes?
Yeah, right here.
And there's Tom McClellan. He's another, if you want to follow on Twitter. He said, this was interesting. And we've talked about this before about debts and budgets and stuff like that. And he says the latest data from the monthly Treasury statement, and you can go to their website and you can see all their statements, shows the federal government is still outspending what it takes in by 7 percentage points of the GDP. You would have to cut expenditures 27% just to balance the income. And I'm like, it's like 36% up from March of last year. I'm like, man, if we did our budget that way, we'd be broken. We wouldn't have a thing to our name. But this is stuff that we talk about all the time about how they're just, what did I say the other day? It was a tip of 27 years since they've actually did a balanced budget.
Yeah. And, the government, nobody can waste money like the government. Nobody's held accountable. It is just, look at, I was just doing a story on World War I and how much money was wasted back then. Unreal. It'll be in my next video coming out tomorrow, but it was $59 billion went towards the war and only $39 billion was spent. And there was 21,000 millionaires and billionaires made. That story got sent to me from the Black and White Interceptor. I really appreciate it if you're here, but it's going to put things into perspective on how, and I'm not trying to profit from the war, but if somebody's going to, it might as well be the community. You know what I mean? So we're going to do our best and put our heads together and figure out what is going to do good in this coming war. And we don't know if it's a hot war nuclear. We don't know. We just don't know. All I do know is we're as close as I've ever been in my lifetime to a catastrophic fallout with the rest of the world. So keep your head on a swivel and do your best to think up things that'll do good. Real quick, I want to tell my wrench story.
No, we've talked about this though before, and it's not. And I think sometimes it come across as we're really being harsh, and it's not that we're saying that you're going to take advantage of bad people or of good people. It's that you're trying to make it through whatever is going through this crazy world right now. So you're trying to think outside the box and go, okay, what can I do to make it through this? And I think that's where. And if you do it, that's amazing. You're doing. I think go for it. Go ahead, tell your story.
Okay, the wrench story from World War One. So all these people were trying to profit or were profiting from the war. This one outfit made wrenches. They sold the government 12 dozen wrenches that were 48-inch wrenches. And I thought, okay, a 48-inch pipe wrench, long. No, it was an actual 48-inch wrench. And as weird as that sounds, it gets weirder because there was only one nut on the planet that the wrench fit. So there's going to be creative ways to, make a profit and try to help the situation, not rip anybody off, but try to think about it. Think through it. What's going to do good? Copper. I think copper is going to do great. Nickel, things we actually need. Precious metals is going crazy right now. Think about it. Put it in the comments. Actually, put it in the comment of the video because I'd like to know your guys' thoughts because these comments kind of go away later.
So there's another interesting tweet that also Jesse Felder, who I follow, he said this time last year, smaller U.S. based commercial banks collectively, they had a buffer of $700 billion in cash or assets to sell if the depositors wanted to get their money back. Guess what? The buffer is gone. And you guys, you need to go and look on the chart. It's called cash poor, and it literally shows that they have this much money, and they are now, look, you can see this, they're in the negative. So we've talked about this before about how smaller banks have taken on commercial loans and how they're going to get hit when all this stuff starts to trickle down. And we'll talk about some insider loanings and stuff like that in just a little bit also. But I thought that was, so you're talking about these smaller banks. They had $700 billion. It's gone. So right now, if you're a depositor and you want to go get that back, it's gone.
According to Warren Buffett, the depositors won't be hurt.
Of course.
But banks aren't done failing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. I got an interesting question here. It's from Rich. Are T-bills safe? Okay. What do T-bills pay right now? What are they going to pay you to own them? Put it in the comments.
All right. I think that was all I had from the tweets here. I want to go to the next story, or you want to read some more?
No, go ahead when they start, because I don't know exactly what a T-bill
So I'd like
pays.
to talk. So we were talking about the banks and kind of stay on the banks just a little bit because I've been talking to you guys a lot about the banks lately. You guys have some interesting stories that you tell me, and I really appreciate it. Like that you only allowed so much to deposit, and you've had to go from bank to get this done, and just it seems to be getting more and more complicated as it goes on. And we had mentioned this the other day when the Silicon Valley Bank went down. That it was Silicon Valley, right? Am I saying that? I think that was the right one.
Yeah, Gammon's
right
calling
before,
it Stupid Valley Bank.
Right. He did what?
Gammon's calling it Stupid Valley Bank.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't see that. So before apparently they had their big issue and the FDIC stepped in, they were given all these insider loans. Well, apparently this is becoming a more and more of a trend that is happening to a lot of these banks. Whenever these banks start to see, I guess, that they're in some kind of a crisis, they are starting to step up and they're starting to give, they said it is their directors, their officers, major shareholders. They said 10 billion. This trend is went through all last year. It was almost 10 billion by the end of 2022. That is more than a 12% jump than a year earlier. So apparently these banks are starting to say, hey, we're in trouble. Interest rates are going up. Hey, you guys, you want a good loan before our bank gets into issue? I don't know. But it seems to be a really big trend that was happening in 2022, and all these zombie businesses that we were talking about have gotten these loans now.
I think it's going to get worse. These zombie companies, this is held together. This is smoke and mirrors that's held together with duct tape on the jet. The jet that's the U.S. economy is held. The wings are held on with duct tape. Aviation duct tape is pretty cool, but I'm just saying this isn't going to last forever. Now, T-bills are paying 4 to 5% annually. That's what Dale Sutherland said.
Oh, hey, Dale. Hi.
The inflation rate. Look at that fly on my hat. I got to talk about flies in a minute too. My take on 4 or 5% is that's nowhere near what inflation is. They're telling us it's 6, but it's not. It's actually 15 or 17 or maybe even more. Some people say 22 when you look at the price of real goods and services. I don't buy T-bills. I would buy precious metals. It just makes way more sense to me to eliminate third-party risk and hold it yourself. Hold your wealth. Don't depend on somebody else to do it for you. Typically, when interest rates go up, bonds are good investment. That includes T-bills. Okay, we'll buy those.
What is Bud Light saying? What is he saying?
Several of my Merc friends are making big bucks in Syria and Ukraine. Now, 7 of them are over there as private contractors. A lot of money goes to these companies that put guys there. Hey, that's a great. That true. Bud's like the side hustle king. So look at the people that subcontract these mercenary companies over there. Maybe that's good. I was thinking more commodities, but that's an excellent route.
That's very good. We're talking about one more thing that I want to hit on. Then
I get it, Dale. He says I did some T-bills because my cash was sitting around in banks doing nothing. I get it. We keep very little cash in banks too, and I'm just more of a precious metal hard asset kind of guy. If I had a bunch of money in a bank, I would probably put it into something physical. You name it, farmland, a pond, food, fish in the pond, something like that. Maybe even some private placements. We've been doing some of those lately in these companies that we're going to have in the future. Uranium comes to mind. I think we're going to need uranium in short order, considering what happens to energy in war times. And we don't want to use coal. Uranium seems to be the obvious pivot to me. It's not wind and it's not solar. So keep them coming, man. I love them.
All right, let's keep talking about the financial crisis just a little bit. So the guy, this is, it said a hidden time bomb. This is the quote of it. It said the Big Short investor, Dave Burt, he was a CEO and he's been in investment research for a while. He's one of the ones that was talking about the housing market in 2007. He was one of the ones that helped some of the people regarding the Big Short. I think he even helped with the book. I forget all the different things that he was involved in. Well, he has come out and said, quote, he said that I am always on the lookout for these big systematic issues, and there's a few reasons for that. And he thinks right now that our system is once again getting ready to do another financial crisis. He said, professionally, if something is mispriced, then as an investor, which is my job for most of my career, he said, your main opportunity is to add the value to it, to identify it, something that is either too cheap to purchase for your clients or something that is too expensive to sell. So he's saying right now that he is, from his perspective, he thinks that it's going to happen again. And so I thought that was another little thing.
And he was a Big Short investor in the housing crisis.
He's the one that came out and he said he was the one who recognized the housing market was on the brink. So now he's saying that we believe we have an overlooked and unpriced climate risk. He said that history was repeating itself.
See, those guys, some people can just see into the future.
They can.
They really do. And it was a long time before what they saw came to pass. Mm-hmm. But when it did, it really did.
Well, a lot of people made a lot of money back then. That Big Short, the movie, and the guys that all did that back then and stuff like that. And they made some big money on that.
Sam Zell, you familiar with Sam Zell? He's like the largest real estate owner, investor that I know of as far as rental and that kind of stuff. Billionaire investor Sam Zell warns U.S. faces serious problem if Fed doesn't hike rates by 100 basis points.
Jeez.
Chairman Sam Zell warned that U.S. economy could face serious problems. The Fed has missed the opportunity to be the disciplinary that it should be. We have to dramatically reduce the liquidity available to the market. I'm not going to read all of it, but they're not going to do the right thing. They had the opportunity during the stupid Valley Bank collapse to do the right thing and let it fail, and you know, but they didn't. They bailed them out.
Yep.
That kind of set the tone for the future, huh?
It's have been for years now. It seems like.
Yeah, we're not gonna let our buddies
they
go
bail
belly
out
up.
the auto industries. They bail out this. They bail out the banks. And we've talked about this, and we even said the other day, you know, I mean, at what point are they going to let something fail? Or are they just going to continue to bail it out? To what does that happen? We've discussed this, speculated, and what are the consequences? And
what I think happens is it takes 17 cents or $17 to get $100 worth of goods and services from other countries, and other countries are getting tired of that. And that number is probably going to go down. It's going to be more like 15 and 10. What happens when it's 5? You know, I don't think we're even going to make it there. And, you know, we're going to devalue our currency, especially in wartime. Wartime is such an inflationary, that's how you get hyperinflation.
Mm-hmm.
And spending money from thin air is going to get us nowhere. It's going to put us in a hurt locker. So,
well, speaking of that, so the U.S. sanctions that we've put on China and companies and various other companies, because we've said even companies that are associated with the Russian war and the Ukraine war, if they are related to China, we've put sanctions on all these different things right now. We're known for that. And the U.S. sanctions on Chinese companies are going to adversely affect the stability of the global supply chain. China's Ministry of Commerce has just come out and said, and we just added 12 more businesses to this control list that we're doing. Chinese companies on this so-called entity list, and they're electronic components. There are all these kind of different things that are going to say, and they're saying, okay, now it's going to affect how we can get this kind of stuff. And we've been saying this, that it was going to happen if they continue to do this. And they're saying that, and this move is not being supported by the United Nations. So they're coming out and saying, okay, United States, you guys did this, but we are not supporting it.
Wow.
So speaking of all that kind of stuff, when you're talking about supply chains and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we've got dozens of companies that we have apparently put on this list. We have done sanctions to. And so I don't know, be curious to see. I mean, there are 5 Chinese companies. We've got everything from drones to just, I mean, you go on the list and look, there's just company after company that we've put sanctions on, and a lot of them are in China. And so we're not going to be able to get those supplies now.
And they're picking sides right now. You know, the countries are lining up, the BRICS nations they're picking sides. They're saying, hey, we don't care about human rights. You can do whatever you want to your people. We don't care. We're not like the U.S. Right. The U.S. is, you know, they're going to make you act right, and you can't do this to your people, and you can't do that to your people. Whether we do or not, I doubt it. We used to a little bit, but right now they turn a blind eye. But they're saying, do whatever you want, enslave your people. We want to do business. Mm-hmm. We're picking sides, and the U.S. is being dealt out of these hands, I believe.
They are. Let's read some more comments, and I want to go into another little bit more China, where it's going to affect us stories.
Good morning, Sherry Dumas. Stitchy, hey, y'all, late but made it.
What is Bud Light saying? Ask Russia.
Ask Russia how those sanctions worked out against them.
You know what? And they actually went into default, and they couldn't even pay some of their debts. And it took them like 172 days, I think, now, instead of like 35 days that they have to work that stuff out. You're absolutely right. They did. The sovereign. Go ahead.
Gold, silver, Bitcoin, is this your parachute? Yes. Financial parachute made of gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
I want to make a really quick note about the silver and gold stuff that you guys are calling in.
A little bit about Bitcoin too.
Okay. Oh man, it's going up again.
I know. I should have bought it at 16. I told Stacey, I told everybody, man, I think we should start buying
some more. I know.
Still looking for the big downturn. I hope we get it, but we might not.
Real quick side note, you guys. So a lot of our stuff, when our paperwork comes out to you, if you guys have ordered from us, it'll say on the invoice, hey, it's going to be shipped in like 12 days. You guys, I'm sorry. That's just a generic form that Tyler sends out. I've got a bug flying around me. That is not the case. So you guys just bear with me when it says that. Just please ignore that, because I just had someone call the other day that said if you do a wire transfer, it'll be shipped out like 5 days after your wire transfer clears. That's not actually happening right now, because some of that stuff I'm like 21 days out getting it. So just a side note. So just bear with me. All right.
Billionaire crypto bull Mike Novogratz says the U.S. is headed for a credit crisis and a dramatic economic slowdown that will make Bitcoin's investment case stronger. Now, it's always hard for me to pay attention to these Bitcoin bulls because they've got a bunch of it. What do you think is going to do good in the future? Well, it's Bitcoin because I got a bunch of it. And the ones that don't, like Mr. Wonderful, he called it blood coin and Bitcoin's not the one and all that. He's just saying that because he doesn't have a bunch of it. He didn't buy in early. But anyway, he's saying we've got some serious problems ahead. The longtime cryptocurrency bull also said that the failure of Silicon Valley Bank and aggressive central bank tightening heightened Bitcoin's initial use case as a safer alternative to the traditional monetary system. The problem with all of that is the United States does not want any competition with its currency.
Yep.
And I think that's not going to keep me from buying it, but it is going to, it's going to make me hold up buying a bunch of it, waiting on regulations. I'm not waiting for they to really start smacking it down and like they do with precious metals, like they do with everything. You can have the best, most perfect money ever, digital, blockchain, blah, blah, blah. They can run the price down through fear and FUD and then buy a bunch of it and sell you a derivative of it. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they're going to try to do. And just know that's in the mail, I believe.
Okay, so somebody just asked, and I thought this was interesting, said, how did you compare the student loan debt forgiveness to all those bank and company bailouts? And the video that you did the other day, and you want to talk about make me angry. That story, when you were doing that story, it makes me so.
Wait a minute. What was
it said? It said, how would you compare? See right there, Mike, right there.
Okay.
How would you compare? That makes me so angry because I worked my way, and I understand if you don't want to go to college, you don't have to go to college. But I worked every single day. And I paid off every single loan that I did. And I didn't know enough about then. Unfortunately, I didn't know about grants and different things that you could take. But I worked hard. And so the fact that now I'm going to have to pay for these people that are getting bailed out, yeah, well, I kind of get my feathers ruffled.
How would I compare it? It is, any way you look at it, it's quantitative easing. It's, free money that's going to come from us.
We're going to pay it.
That's going to come from people that had no dog in the fight, and it's going to bail out the people that have bad spending habits. Like I said in the video, these kids getting in these unreal amount of debt with no plan to pay it back. The colleges get out scot-free. Mm-hmm. They can raise the tuition more.
Yep, they do.
They can indoctrinate our children on your dime. Yep. That's what pisses me off the most is through on my back. I never went to college. I didn't rack up a bunch of needless debt to get a degree in underwater basket weaving or something stupid that you'll never use. Every time I wouldn't say every time. Most of the time I talk to a younger person and say, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to go to college. What for? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, that's just the case. You don't really know what you want to do when you're that young. You just know. Back when I was in school, it was like, hey, you got to go to college or you're going to flip burgers and dig ditches. Well, that is a far cry from the truth because it has been the opposite. And that's another thing that bailing out these colleges does is it takes away from trades. It's a promise to go to college for free, to get nothing, and to not have a trade when you're done.
Well, and a lot of times when they get out of college, they can't even get jobs. And if so, they're very low-paying jobs. They can't afford it. But what I did, and you guys do whatever you want, but I actually went to work first. And I started realizing what things cost. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, and what is needed? What is needed in my community that would pay me? And that's when I went and got a computer programming, a computer science degree with a minor in criminal justice, because I was like, oh, that is what will pay me. I didn't just go and randomly just sign up for a degree. Like I actually went to work first, realized what was needed, and it paid me well until I met you. And then you obviously let me do other things with businesses. What is that? Sorry.
That's the same thing I did with welding. Same thing. They said, well, what are you going to weld? I don't know. Whatever makes the most money. What makes the most money? Well, underwater welding. Okay, sign me up. and they said, well, you can't get life insurance. Well, okay, maybe it's a little too dangerous. What is the next best thing? Well, rig welding, pipe welding, 100% X-ray every day, that kind of welding, really high pressure. You got to know what you're doing type welding. So I went that direction, and it actually paid more than underwater welding. So that's the way I always approach everything. If I'm going to go into something, I need to know what kind of money it makes. And a lot of people that go to college go to make,
Well,
not very much money at the end of the day.
It's assumed step that you're supposed to take, and I get it. Some people that's good for them. So you and I have a little bit different perspective on that. But if you're going to go to college, get a job. Figure out what's out there in society. Figure out what is needed. Figure out what stuff pays. Don't just randomly go and just pick something just because it looks good on paper. Figure out that's what I did, and that's what actually that benefited me. So if you're going to go to college, figure out what's needed. What is that?
I'm a machine.
He's a machine. What are you saying?
I don't know what that means.
Oh,
sounds cool. Hope it's a cool machine. Speaking of machines, can I talk about my hydrogen car?
Yeah. Then I want to go into
Oh, man.
Just keep going.
Look,
we got just so you know, we probably could sit here for an hour, but we got to go in about 15 minutes.
Look, guys, the first time I heard of a car that runs off of hydrogen, I thought, okay, sure, unicorn fart type talk. Toyota is rolling out I can't say it, Mirai, M-I-R-A-I. It's a really pretty car. It's rear wheel drive. It'll go 402 miles on a tank fueled with hydrogen. This could be a death knell for lithium, or something.
You're fired
like that.
Up today.
No. Well, I mean, it has zero emissions. Water drips out of the tailpipe. I mean, it's wild. And I really thought it was a nothing burger, but it turns out that there's something to this. Toyota is getting with Yamaha, which that can pretty much only be awesome.
Yep, I agree with that.
Unless it was made in
you
the
read
USA,
me that.
that'd be better. But guys, I just want you to know they're making cars that run on hydrogen. That's news to me. I've heard of it, didn't really think much about it. But I'm wondering if the green weenies that worship the oh worshipful master ESGism, if they're going to jump on this, if they're going to be like, oh, this is actually green. It's not really all of our buddies making the green stuff. It's like this. So how are they going to react to it? That's going to be, they're going to try to smack it down because they're not there first, or maybe they are there first. I'm not sure, but it is very strange that Toyota came out with the Prius in 1997.
They did.
I mean, that was like, I don't know, the first electric.
It was, yep. One
So
of
what
them.
do you call
But then
them?
they kind of held off. If you notice, they're kind of.
And then they drug their feet.
They did. Yeah, they did.
And now they're rolling out a car that runs on hydrogen.
Mm-hmm.
So BMW is also doing the same thing. So this is some real futuristic stuff. And I would advise everybody to figure out, I'm going to make a video on it, what actually goes into a hydrogen car the most.
Yeah, to invest.
And then we're going to try to invest in those things, try to reverse engineer it to try to make some profit. Guys, if you're here, I've got 351 people on and 143 likes. You want to make my day because it's almost my birthday. It's like tomorrow.
No, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
He didn't even know when his birthday is.
Well, we're celebrating it today.
Well, we're celebrating all week.
Hit the like button, please. It means a lot.
Speaking of ESG, oh my goodness. So, thanks to Peggy and Robert, who sent me this video about ESG, where they're starting to put implants in cows' ears, and they're going to say they're tracking. They've been doing this for years, but they're apparently starting to use the ESG also when it comes to tracking the cows. Of course, the emissions and gas emissions and all this kind of things. And so I want to do a story about that. That video that I sent you was really interesting. What kind of comments do we got? Happy birthday week! It is. It's his week. Actually, we've been celebrating for about a month. But yeah, it's his.
We're talking about, Brian, we need gas guzzling 454s like the old days with real cars. I'm going to have a hard time. My dad's got a Bronco with a 302 in it, and it's been totally restored, and it is absolutely beautiful. And I was thinking, when I'm old, I wonder how much it's going to cost to fill it up. We're going to own nothing and be happy, and fossil fuels are going to still be here, but they will be expensive. And I hate to even call them fossil fuels, but that's just kind of the name of it. And yeah, I agree. I want to hear the rumble. Actually, you do get a little noise with a hydrogen car. Probably sounds like a crotch rocket, I would imagine. But
happy birthday. Never look back.
Thank you for the happy birthday wishes and the thumbs up. I appreciate it, guys.
So I want to hit on 2 more articles real quick, and then a few more things, and then few more things I want to hit on. So
Cummins too. Cummins is developing a hydrogen-powered engine. I got to check this out. Thank you for that.
What? Oh, you like
Cummins is awesome. Well, they used to be. I'm more of a 7-3 fan, but the Cummins were tough, tough, tough.
So two more things I want to hit on just really quick because they kind of go together. So we've been talking about this for a while, that Brazil and China are really coming together. Of course, they came to meet with us, and then they go meet with China, and they're kind of speaking out of both sides of their mouth, and they're saying, okay, but with Brazil and China, that they're saying that they can change the world governance together. They're getting together, and they're making it obvious that they are creating a partnership, and they're leaving us pretty much out. So Larry Summers, which is the previous Treasury, he has actually spoke out like 5 times now. He's not in the administration. He's outside of it now, but he was actually at an IMF meeting the other day, and he has come out publicly several times and said, I'm telling you guys, you need to listen. You need to watch what's going on overseas. And he actually said, he warns, quote, the U.S. is getting lonely as other powers band together. And he said there is a sense of everything is being fragmented and that the US is being left over here. So you guys, even this guy is coming out and saying it publicly, former Treasury, and he is saying, you guys, we just need to like start paying attention to this. He goes, the US is going to be left sitting over here on the sidelines if we don't start paying attention. How these other countries, they're done, they're fed up. We've put sanctions on them. We've done this. And he said he was told by a developing company, quote, what we get from China is an airport, which means we get goods. We get stuff coming in. He said, what we get from the United States is a lecture. And they said they were done.
And for everybody, the International Monetary Fund is 190 countries that, let me just read it to you, work to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. 190 different countries are involved in the IMF, and it's easy just to say IMF and
move on.
But yeah, it's just kind of brings it together.
Thank you. No, it is. It's true. That's a huge organization, and he was actually at that meeting, and he stepped aside and actually did an interview on that. But I also want to talk about one more thing that we hit on too, was the World Health Organization. They had come out, and here a while back we had done a story on it, where that they're trying to put into play that if there is a, quote, global pandemic, that they have the right, even in the United States, to come in and say what we can and cannot do. You remember when we did a story about that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I've been trying to find out if Biden signed it. And thanks to Jen, Emma J, she was able to help me find some articles where it looks like it's been pushed back to June. They're actually revising the bill or the document or whatever. So that's something I'm keeping my eye on, because that scares the living daylights out of me if we would give that kind of power to the World Health Organization, that if they, quote, did a global pandemic, that they could come in and take over. Speaking of that, real quick before we go into that, so apparently now the U.S. has begun testing bird flu vaccines in poultry. We've talked about vaccines in different pigs, cows. I heard even vegetables possibly the other day. I can't really prove that a whole lot. But now they're coming out and they're going to start testing. The government is going to test 4 potential bird flu vaccines in the poultry after 58 million chickens, turkeys, and other birds have died in the nation's worst outbreak ever. So this is being tested by the USDA.
Speaking of vaccines, have you been getting
calls,
soliciting calls about what was COVID Wellness
Center
and all that?
Yep.
I've been getting one a day.
Yes, he has.
Promising me a test and all this stuff and want me to talk. And I just play dumb, like, it's over, isn't it? Isn't that, that's the old news. Oh, no, they're still trying to pump this thing. They're trying to inject it in the animals, and they're trying to put our food, soak your food in whatever the animals eat, in something that puts that in their food, and it gets it in the animal. Unbelievable the medicine that will be in the Thunderdome that we're going to get through everything, corn, however they're going to get it in you somehow. So try to create a relationship with a farmer. I know our farmer, I called him, the guy that raised our cow.
Yeah.
They said, we don't inject our cattle, nothing. No. That's why it's so important for us to raise our own. So try, if you can, I know not everybody can, if you can, try to figure out what your food is eating, where it comes from, who's raising it, what are they injecting them with, because this is unbelievable. We got a super chat. Michael Snyder. President Bush and VP Cheney were big proponents of hydrogen power since Bush and Cheney was pro-hydrogen. Greenies went electric. So the greenies aren't going to like it. I guess that doesn't fall under the ESGism. That's going to be on the outs. Maybe that's not on every. Why it's not on every headline. You know.
Well, it seems like no matter what I know we got a fly buzzing around here. It's about to drive
Speaking
me
of flies,
crazy.
I got to talk about them in a minute.
Okay, well, but it seems like no matter what, if you get one side that's going to be for something, no matter what, even if the other side actually maybe likes it, they're going to go against it. It's like, so before we talk about flies and all that kind of stuff real quick, I just want to do kind of a little bit of I want to say hi to Mr. Bob. I talked to him. Hey, babe. I talked to him yesterday, and it was yesterday, day before. I apologize. I kind of get my days run together.
I'm gonna slap that.
Don't slap me, because you have before by mistake. Okay, but on all serious, he actually brought up a really good point. He had just lost his mom, Joan, and I could tell something was different in his voice when I talked to him. I said, "You okay, Mr. Bob?" And he said, "Stacey," he goes, "we need to remind people to take every day, value it." And sometimes, and I was talking to him about it, he's slapping himself now. And I'm trying to talk about a serious subject. This is not going well.
Go ahead. I'm trying to get that fly.
He said, and he made a really good point. He said, call your friends, call people, call them, just tell them you're thinking about them. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in what's going on right here. And every day we get on here, we could talk for an hour of every single thing that seems to be going on. There's always something going on. So you guys get in the comments, tell everybody hi, tell them you're thinking about them, tell them that, we're a community and we're out there, and we're a phone call away, as Chris and I've talked about. And I don't know, to me, that really struck home when he said that. And he said, literally, she was there one day, she had a stroke and she was gone. And so we can get on here, we can talk about all this, but at the end of the day, we need to be there for each other. So
don't forget your elderly. So it's so easy because it's like they've always been there. They've always been there. They've always been okay. But I've noticed the elderly, they kind of fade out, and you forget about them. And I'm not saying you do. I say you a lot, and it gets misconstrued in my videos, but just check on them. I'm not saying anybody's not doing that, but even your neighbors, your elderly neighbors, that maybe they didn't have children, maybe they don't have anybody looking out for them. A good friend of mine wound up in a government subsidized nursing home, and it
scarred
it
you.
messed me up seeing what he was living in. It was just filth, nasty, and I don't want to see anybody end up there. And I'm talking roaches. It looked like he was in the corner of a Denny's kitchen.
Did. Yeah, it was bad.
It was nasty, hot, humid, and I don't want anybody to end up like that. So check on your elderly, make sure they're okay, make sure they're getting their business a little bit. What are your finances like? What are you doing? More than likely, they're on a fixed income, and they probably have all their money in one spot and probably have zero precious metals. I know my grandfather doesn't play like that. He's the one that taught me about precious metals. He's one of the wisest people I know, but my grandfather's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that are slipping through the cracks. So absolutely check them out, check on them.
Yeah, well, he just had a good message, because sometimes I think we just get overwhelmed with going on in society, and we just need to take a step back and just go, hey, how are you today? And I love that he said that. And he actually, his mom had passed, and he said, Mother's Day's coming up, and he said, I'd already brought her a Mother's Day card. And he said, it's sitting here. And he said, I just wish I had already given it to her. So just take that extra moment to visit your parents, visit your friends. It was just kind of a sharp reminder. Sometimes we get so busy with different things in life. But
I check on my 70-year-old Democrat neighbor often and share my garden with her. That's awesome. I'm elderly. What's your point? I keep checking on kids at the church.
That's funny. That's good.
That is true. All right, look. So this time of year, we have flies.
Do we?
Chickens, humid, wet. Flies are crazy. I've got a couple in here that are aggravating. They will get so bad, it's just unbelievable. So I got a couple of fly traps. I'm not affiliated with these people at all. I got two of them. One was a net style.
Oh, they're working good.
So a net type. Doesn't work. Don't get that one.
That one doesn't work?
Nope. It's called the Ranch Fly Trap. I got two of them from the same company. Ranch Fly Trap makes several different
One
ones.
of them's working.
The other one, it's a collapsible green one. I'll show it to you if I can find it.
Well, one of them works great because it actually knocked them out.
It
Because
knocked
for
them
a
out.
while we had flies. I mean, I couldn't even open up the door and to let the dogs, out to go do their business or whatever, and flies were coming.
Like I said, I'm not affiliated with the Wrench Fly Trap Company. You can check them out, but it really did. We've been using the disposable fly traps, and they work really good. But this one, you can actually rinse out and put new fly bait in it. You can use all kind of stuff that flies are attracted to, and they have really been getting in there and not bothering us too bad. So having one fly in the shop right now is not a big deal. So
No,
I just want to share that with you.
Someone said thanks to my necklace. They liked it. Thank you. That's actually from his mom's store. I pull it out every.
My mom has a jewelry store in
Yeah.
El Dorado, Arkansas.
Yep. I pull it out every
right there
summer
on Main Street. If anybody wants some, she makes fine jewelry and has for almost 40 years, and it is beautiful. It's a lost. My family is real hands-on. My uncles can build anything, fix anything. My family's just like that, and she's made fine jewelry, and it's really incredible.
She does. She actually, I'll talk to her every now and then. I'll call her, and she actually makes the molds like real-time jewelry used to do. She doesn't just order the stuff. But let's see. I also want to talk about real quick. We were talking about China and what's going on with them and all that kind of stuff. I want to hit up on one more thing. We had mentioned it before. He mentioned about the electrical vehicles or whatever. This is a thing. They've also come out again and warned about the rebates. If you are going to get an electric vehicle, make sure that you check because there are certain things that are going to restrict you from getting that rebate. So if you are interested, do your due diligence because they're altering it. It almost seems like weekly, monthly of if you can get that rebate or not. It almost seems like they're trying not to give you the rebate, truthfully. And then one more thing this has been coming out. I've noticed this for about a month now. And I was like, oh, is this really happening? I'm kind of paying attention, but not really sure if it's factual. But they have actually now, the CDC has come out and said, we've got another virus. It's called the Marburg. And it's, of course, in different places. It's like in 2 different places, I think they said, in 2 African nations. But I guess the thing is there's not supposedly a vaccine for this right now. And I guess it's a little more deadly. So I don't know how serious to take this. They said it can include fever, headache, muscle, joint pain, fatigue, loss of appetite, unexplained bleeding, all these different things.
How many people have gotten that?
I tried to find
I've talked
that.
about this twice.
Yeah, okay. I've tried to find it, and I cannot find an actual.
They're still talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's CNN, right?
It's CDC is the one that came out and said it, but CNN
it was on CNN.
Yes.
It's not anything.
I don't know.
It seems like they're trying to pump it up.
It does
because they keep talking about
it.
But
I can't find stats,
and they're not showing any stats.
Yep.
So, who'd have thunk it?
Yep.
Another sickness.
Well,
there will be pestilence in the end times.
Well, this goes hand in hand with that article that's really bothering me with the WHO, the World Health Organization. If they actually pass that and Biden does sign that and they claim a global pandemic, then that is something that really concerns me.
Danward said 3 people so far. So
there you go. There you go. All right. Well, I think that's about all I've got this morning. I think that was enough. And then silver, as you guys know, are hanging about the same. Gold spiked and then came back down. As you guys know, we've kind of discussed it. Unfortunately, I will not be working today. However, when I get back, I will be working tomorrow. I typically don't work Sundays, but I will be working tomorrow. I already have 2 appointments at 10 and then at 11 that are scheduled, but I will be answering calls. Silver's hanging at $25.51. Gold's $2,008. It's come way down. I was locking in at $2,044. So you guys just bear with us and we'll get to you when we can. All right. You got anything else?
I do. I want to ask everybody if they've heard of geoengineering. I would like for you to go to geoengineeringwatch.org. I plan on doing a video on this. I've reached out to a couple of pilots. They say, the chemtrails coming from the jets is nothing. It's not true. And other people are saying they are spraying the atmosphere with stuff that's supposed to reflect light and in the name of climate change. Of course, anything bad would come from that. But is there something to this story? Weather manipulation, I know that's real. Cloud seeding, real. But there is, like I said, geoengineering, watch.org. There's like a 2-hour video. I made it through like an hour and 45 minutes of it. And there is generals. There is some really high credentialed people talking about this, like 100% this is happening. And I just need to know what you guys think, because I don't know. I'm not the authority on this. I'm just trying to find out what exactly is going on. So help me out there. That's something I think we should probably look at. Even if it is nothing, we should rule it out accordingly. Like we try to do everything else. Because in the Thunderdome, anything goes. Post 2020, anything after 2020 is considered no holds barred. The Octagon, the Thunderdome. That's what I talk about the Thunderdome a lot, is because it's anything goes.
So for your birthday, I'd like to give away some more silver.
I would too.
Let's do that.
I like giving away silver.
So I want to say happy birthday is hashtag.
Hashtag happy birthday.
Yep. So you guys start putting it in there
as many times as you want.
And we're going to do it for it's 45 minutes. So at 46 or 40, 47. Yeah, we'll do a minute and a half. We'll hit on a few more topics that we've got. And then let's do for your birthday. Let's give another silver buffalo. I've got it sitting right inside my desk right now.
All right. A brand new, shiny silver buffalo.
I know. And they're going for about $30 right now. So there you go. But while you guys are doing happy birthday and hashtag and all that, one more quick thing. BlackRock seems to have their hand in every single thing. And matter of fact is when I want to do a story on this, and I got to find that guy and see if I get more information from him. But the one I was telling you about, the cows, where they do the inserts in their ears and they track everything. Literally, they go by the computer and it actually scans everything that they put into the system. They have a little system set up, and it tells you exactly where that cow's been, what they've taken, what they've been shot with, any history they have. I mean, it is crazy. Guess who is one of the main investors? BlackRock. Once again, BlackRock is now hooking up with Credit Suisse, the one that is in trouble right now. They have been having some issues. They're kind of struggling, as you guys all know. It's shaking kind of the foundation of what the people believe. And they are now going to help out BlackRock. They're going to start helping them sell their assets, some of their bonds. And also the FDIC. The FDIC has also retained BlackRock's units to help them sort of sell securities and do different things like that after these banks happened with the collapse of the Silicon Valley. So BlackRock is way deep with so many of these different companies, and it just blows my mind. And that are huge in real estate. They're the ones that people kind of speculate that they're going to buy up a lot of real estate. They already have a ton of real estate for their investors.
Blackstone like 6 times what they have. They're still huge.
Yeah, they are. They are. But BlackRock is in the bed with a lot of different players that it's just kind of slides under the rug.
BlackRock, Blackstone, these are, in my opinion, the worst thing that could happen to real estate. They could be the left arm of the government doing their dirty work, buying these houses on pennies on the dollar in the next crash with money that'll be bailed out. They're too big to fail. Pensions are wrapped up in these things.
They are. Look at Paris right now. I mean, they're riding like crazy because of
Paris
that kind of
thing. Paris is a wreck.
It's a mess. But
Paris
I actually looked at their history the other day, and we're like 6 seconds away, and then we're going to jump on and pick one out. But they have a history of rioting. Whenever they don't like something, that is how they do. They take to the streets and they riot, and they have their voices heard. But all right, you ready to pick?
All right, I'm going to scroll all the way to the top and all the way down. Man, at the hashtags. Man, I'm so pumped to give away silver. It's really cool.
And for your birthday. All right, you ready?
I'm going to look away and I'm going to put my finger on one and let you do it.
Keep going up and down, up and down, up.
Down, up, down.
Go down like a long ways, too, because there was a
all
lot
the way
of them.
down to the bottom, all the way up.
There you go.
Down, up, right there.
Okay, boom.
What does it say? It said never look back.
There you go. Never look back. Never look back. Hey, there you go.
Never look back.
That's it.
Okay, never look back.
Text me.
Yeah, text that number.
Please, and I'll get it to you in the mail. So far, I've been able to get
Thank you for everybody for the happy birthday wishes.
Yeah. We're going to go celebrate.
I appreciate it. We're going to celebrate. Guys, have an awesome, awesome day. Thank you for being here with us. Hit the like button on your way out. Later.